This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome to the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Ken, and with me are Cody in athleisure and Kyle in shorts.
It's like there's summer is happening here. We're in a heat wave.
Start the ticking time bomb down to winter again.
Yeah.
We've got 12 weeks where we're at.
That's the key word. Again, we had a winter storm like last week or something.
Yeah.
And now it's just a heat wave here.
It's a 90s heat wave from our winter
14
storm.
days ago, we had 8 inches of snow, and
Yeah.
now it's 90 degrees outside.
Pretty much we'll always complain about the weather.
Right. So
There's
it'll be
never a
our,
happy middle here.
In our non-Mediterranean climate
Yeah.
that we have here.
Right. But holy cow, this past weekend,
yay!
that was awesome.
Finally. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. We're all going to do it.
We had almost $100 million weekend.
Yeah, we did. And Quiet Place 2 led the charge. And
Yeah.
it was theater exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wonder why.
I
I
gotta
wonder why it
send-
did so well.
Paramount a goodie bag of something like, I know they have dollar bills now, but still.
A bunch of air horns so they
Yeah.
can...
Go down. Yeah.
No, I mean, we were hoping for at least adequate, but I really think that A Quiet Place 2 took things up another level. Like, it nearly made as much as the first movie did with theaters. I mean, most theaters are coming back. They have been reopened, but they still have, like, capacities in place, and with the extra day...
some states.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there was still some things that could have held this movie back, but, you know, when you have a good movie and when people see all the promotion that you push out there, people will show up.
Yeah. No, it's amazing their success, and there's still yet an asterisk of, you know, pandemic policies. Now they're not as widespread as they were before. They're not as restrictive as they were before, and they don't affect every theater, but there's still that asterisk there. And so to have success amidst that is amazing. And
It's just a boost of confidence for everyone.
You want to hear the crazy number?
what?
Quiet Place 2 crossed $65 million for the 7-day. $65 million.
Yeah.
That's
I was going to
awesome.
say
I didn't
it
know if
held
we
up
would,
during the
we
week.
would see that. I mean, we talked like 30 would be a big opening.
Right.
This is awesome. That's an incredible number. I mean, Cruella creeped over 30 million, but it's not theater exclusive, so we're not talking Cruella today.
Well, we'll just say Disney, I would assume that they would be slightly embarrassed that Paramount, the studio that was at the bottom of the run the last few years, literally the studio that makes the least amount of money, kicked their butts on opening weekend.
Oh, yeah. They don't
Kicked them
like it.
hard.
It's so weird. You don't make a movie exclusive and you don't see good results from it. What does this mean?
Your content doesn't just transcend all forms.
And the other stat of the day is that Croods 2 has dropped all the way to number 14 in its 28th week of release.
It's still in the top
That's
20.
crazy. It's not top 15.
Yeah. What you had, I think, the Office record for the longest run
Ever.
You had Croods playing for how many weeks, Ken?
28 weeks.
28 weeks. Oh, it's still going?
Yeah.
Just the
Oh.
entire time.
We added a single show
Yeah.
to keep it going.
To keep it going. Just
Let's
to,
keep this record going.
yeah.
I mean, before you had film reels and they didn't last 28
They
weeks.
didn't. No.
They got worn out.
Yeah, they did. They got scratched. They got worn out. They got...
And there was enough product that you
Yeah.
You
No, I
know.
mean, you ran through stuff because there was no competition. It was theaters.
yeah.
And then it was home video. Bum, bum, bum. The harbinger of doom.
But even
Yeah.
still, families want to escape.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's
No,
wild.
and I'm not going to put Disney or Cruella down because they did do a strong showing. I mean, there really aren't that many $20 million openings out there to speak of. So the combination of all that was just a phenomenal weekend for everybody. So
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if at those offices they're like, please, let's get a 20 million opening. And then once they did, they went, well, why wasn't it 30 million? Like,
Right.
There'll never be a win, but at least for, theaters playing these movies, this was a really good weekend, especially with everything that's gone on.
I'm just so happy the theater exclusive film won the weekend.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Theater exclusive, and if it looks good and again,
Yeah.
you just promote it well, people will show up.
Yeah, we're really excited. We did really well in the drive-ins. I mean, even some drive-ins did a Quiet Place combo, some did a Cruella combo, and both of them did awesome. So that I don't know, in that scenario, you could have picked either film and done great.
Yeah, no, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
It feels good. I'm loving it.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
Not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Sponsor of my waist size.
Saved it.
So yeah, all the trades have written and spoken a lot about the success, so we won't harp on it. I just wanted to be like, yay, it's back.
Oh, yeah.
The potential is there. We're seeing it now.
After all the depression that we've had to slug through this
Right.
past year, we deserve to
just
give ourselves a pat on the back and root for all these theaters out there. They all did great.
All the justification, all the going out there, pounding our drum. Theaters still matter. Theaters will make money. Now it's like, okay, I've been proved right here. And it feels really good to be right.
So again, pat ourselves on the back.
So somehow Paramount found themselves not only in your good graces, but also on your shit list.
Damn
this week.
it. I know. I know.
Ooh, so close.
How is that possible?
I wish I could make the separate these decisions as somebody just messed up in the organization and forgot about what was happening. But yeah, they moved Paw Patrol to going day and date with Paramount Plus. I kind of think what's happened is because of restrictions and everything coming back, Paramount and Universal the week before with Boss Baby realized that their chance to experiment with these day and dating release calendars is kind of coming to a close. Again, I will reiterate, there is no excuse for them going day and date, as Paramount is a perfect example. Your film was #1. It brought back the box office. Why on earth would you then backtrack 10 billion steps and be like, let's go day and date for Paramount Plus?
Kids love Paw Patrol and want to stay at home for it.
No,
but
it was the first rated G wide release we had since Toy Story 4.
Right.
Which was strangely rated G, I found out.
Yeah.
And that was the first G-rated wide release since Disney's Penguins.
Yeah, I was going to say the last...
Remember that, Jim?
We had a conversation about this because we keep getting schools that want to do field trips and watch movies in theaters, but they only want G movies. Like, G movies exist out there. And they want it because then if it's a PG, they have to get permission slip. So if it's just a G, they can do it. But they forget that G movies don't exist. And in my mind, I forgot that Toy Story was a G. I thought it was a PG.
It had to have been.
But I knew that the last...
Why would it be a G? Because
the
they
last
don't make
G
them.
series was the nature documentaries from Disney. Those were all G. It was like
the
they had
movie
3 or 4 films like that. So yeah, the G movies don't exist. This was going to be a commercial wide release G movie, which would do phenomenal.
With the Nickelodeon tie-in.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's a popular franchise.
They run all their commercials. I mean, the few times that I've let our kids tune in, it's just like, this toy, this movie, this show.
Yeah.
Like, it's in your face. It's aggressive with the colors and the sound and the advertising.
Oh, I'm sure it's only gone worse since I was young.
Oh, since they had GAC.
Yeah, I remember GAC. And the bedazzle kits things and
you could bedazzle your butt pockets. It was awesome.
Right.
Who didn't love that?
And the paint sprayers that would do the swirly paints, and I think they still have all that Crayolas kits.
Probably at the dollar store, yes. But...
Probably. That's only really schedule change that we have to talk about, and it's just really unfortunate in the context that, wow, here we're celebrating the potential of theaters, seeing that exclusivity to theaters earns more money.
Exclusivity.
And is better for you on the streaming platform down the road. And yet here we are trying to put both day and dating just to boost up those streaming numbers. And you know what it is? It could be too, not only is the opportunity waning, but they might have investor conference calls coming up. You don't know where they're slugging a little bit on those streaming numbers and they need quick boosts right before a call with investors.
You don't think Paramount is going to sell the hell out of Quiet Place 2 45 days after the release going to Paramount Plus? The only place to see this.
Yep.
It is out of theaters because it's run its course.
Yep.
They're going to smoke it with this.
Right. It makes perfect sense.
The number one movie in the box office, 3 weeks in a row. I mean, it's gonna 2 weeks with Peter Rabbit there now.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about Peter Rabbit.
Don't get her even more
Don't get me
mad.
started on that.
Well,
I think that got worked out too. By the way,
Are we going to start on it? Or are we going to talk about your booking strategies with PR2?
I'll just talk about it a little bit. It did get worked out. I was able to make some adjustments and get Peter Rabbit. I think enough prints on the break to help Sony out. But in reality, I'm holding back a lot of the little guys for June 25th because at the time, you've just had Cruella, you just had Spirit Untamed. You really don't need another kids movie. It's like beating a dead horse here. So give it a little bit of breathing room, bring in an adult film, and then play Peter Rabbit on the 25th with F9 and then hold it over 4th of July. Not only is Peter Rabbit theater exclusive, so it'll have meat on the bones. You can play it off the break. Then you're not forced into having to play Boss Baby from Universal, which great. I'm sure it's going to be a great film, but dating with Peacock, where there's a $5 tier that it's available on and no premium upcharge, it just given that movie away. I mean, so I'd rather support Sony, give them some dates off the break and protect the theater a little bit and have films that you can only see in the theater on those lucrative holiday corridor than to throw it away on a Boss Baby with a $5 ticket or $5 streaming price.
At least Peter Rabbit is exclusive.
Exclusivity.
At least it is exclusive. So for all the crap that we've been giving them for months now, after you were listing stuff like Paw Patrol, Boss Baby, everything day and date, good work, Sony. Make this one exclusive.
We've said a lot of things about Sony in the past, but
it's frustrating on our part. It just makes us work harder
on the booker's end.
Well, it's not even harder. It's just we had 14 days notice for an A title. That rarely happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we are used to 14 days notice for an A title canceling
Yeah.
or postponing, but moving up, that's not something we were ready for.
No.
But we have an A title.
But we pivoted.
In summer,
yeah.
We adjusted. Last week was Getting the Stress Out.
Oh,
but now we have a theatrically exclusive PG kids movie.
I'm feeling really good about it.
2 weeks in a row. We have Spirit this Friday and then Peter Rabbit next week.
Peter Rabbit's going to be the last theater exclusive kids movie for the rest of summer.
Is that right?
Space Jam is day and date.
Yeah.
Jungle Cruise now is day and date.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I take that back. Hotel. Thank you, Sony. Hotel Transylvania. So I got to make Peter Rabbit last to Hotel and then Hotel
Cody,
through.
give Sony an air horn.
Bow, bow.
Sorry, got a little jam, Sony.
Sorry.
But you get what we're
air
saying.
horn malfunctioned.
Okay,
guys.
So they'll have the only 2 theater exclusive kids products this whole summer. So I'm definitely supporting them on that as much as I can.
Just hope they go wider with Hotel T2.
No, they will. That's a big
And don't
property
move
for
anything.
them. That they will definitely go wide for that.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that at all.
Okay, good.
The issue with Hotel T is that it's sandwiched in between Space Jam and Jungle Cruise. And while those are day and date on their platforms, Jungle Cruise will have a premium VOD amount and the Space Jam HBO Max is a more expensive platform to get into. It's still a $15 buy-in on that. So that those 2 platforms don't seem to hurt as much, although I would argue Disney does hurt quite a bit. But I think Jungle Cruise will transcend that a little bit. I think it's a big property.
Is Michael Jordan in in the new Space Jam?
No, it's everyone.
Skip it.
No, but it's everyone's favorite player, LeBron
It's
James.
LeBron James, and they made it cool. They made it like space age and techie.
And not to mention, he just left the finals after the first round. It has to be a great sign
guys,
for that movie,
is
right?
It's going to be awesome because he has all this time to promote it now. All right, look at the bright side.
Is his airness in it?
Who's that?
Oh, Cody.
Scottie Pippen? No, he's not in it.
No, Michael Jordan is not in it.
Oh.
His airness. MJ,
Okay.
23. No, get out of here. No thanks.
The finals have made me learn that people hate LeBron James so much that they will not see him next to Bugs Bunny. And that's a sentence I never thought I'd have to say, but
Well,
That's a lot of words.
let them
that
get through.
are mixed
Let
together.
them get through 4th of July. They'll blow up some fireworks, let off a little steam, and then we'll be back. So yeah, that's kind of it for the summer. And so far, barring any other unforeseen changes, I really don't want to look so far into July because I'm looking at the end of July now for stuff. I mean,
we're already confirming F9s for the 25th,
and Boss
they're
Babies
looking
and
for
Purges and Old.
Universal's looking for those.
Yeah, so
way
you
out
got
there.
to take a look at that stuff and just kind of pre-plan on it a little bit. But I don't know. I'm excited. It will be busy summer and good grosses, and we'll do our best.
And we have big titles all summer, and franchise titles, and
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson titles, and it's like a regular summer.
yeah, normalcy. This
Oh,
feels weird. It's
this-
been a year, but
This feels really weird. I feel like I've aged a lot. Like I'm haggard, and even though this year is easy, I don't know if I can keep up with it.
it's made us wiser, as people can
Yeah.
tell on this podcast.
Yes. So yeah, that's it for my booking strategies. As far as SVOG updates, I still haven't heard anything from anybody actually getting the money. So as soon as I hear, I will let you guys know.
But no news could mean good news. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad. I think there might even probably still be money. So if you haven't applied, get the application in. It's not like anybody's getting any money right now anyway, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So now that we been through that, how actually was A Quiet Place? Because I didn't see it. I took Memorial Weekend to just chill and be pleasantly surprised when I got home about the grosses. So
Get hammered 2 nights in a row.
I
In
didn't.
celebration.
I didn't.
That's
Maybe.
not how I recall it.
I might have partook in some beverages before the weekend because I was a little stressed out. But during the weekend, I took that time to dry out.
And then once you saw the results,
out.
then
Yeah.
then you got hammered.
Oh my gosh.
But A Quiet Place 2 was
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I would say it's about just as good as the first one. Yeah, just being able to be in a theater, the largest theater screening and the one that we have in town, and just seeing people lining up. The lines were long. It was almost packed. I'm pretty sure they still had social distancing in place, but really, I bet if you looked up and saw the seats, you almost couldn't tell. Like, it was that filled up. And then right from the get-go, everyone immediately stops talking, and everyone just gets sucked into it. And just about everyone, I felt like, was enjoying it as much as I was. Because you can kind of tell in certain movies when everyone is on board with how good a movie is. And that's what A Quiet Place was. It was that type of, theater experience that everyone has been craving for. And the story itself is just good. It just continues the story of the family. And after learning that they know how to defeat the aliens, they just need to move on from their home and go out into the open world where they can find other survivors. And from there, hopefully they can be able to come up with a plan to take out the aliens. And pretty much the movie is just about the journey to get there. And it's just impressive what Krasinski as the director is able to do, just taking what he learned from the first movie and just amplifying his directing abilities. So that way, all of the scares still work so well, but the camera movements and the way that he was shooting the movie were just much more impressive, I thought, than he was in the first movie, which is saying something because he already did a great job in his first outing. So if you loved the first Quiet Place, you'll love the second one, and it's just as good as the first one. And it's the theater experience people have been wanting for a year, and they showed up. It's clear.
Do you think it'll hold up for the second week? Are we going to see a big drop off? I can't imagine with that review that we're going to see a 50 or 60% drop off. I mean, luckily it might be only 20 or 30.
At first, I was expecting a 50 to 60% drop off, but after what Ken just said earlier about the week grosses, the 7-day turnout, I almost think that it could be like less than 50% drop off. And I don't know. I mean, The Conjuring could hurt that to a degree, but I honestly think the attention so much is on A Quiet Place right now that drop is not going to be over 50%, and we're going to see some poorer grosses from Conjuring because of it. But I can see why, though, because A Quiet Place 2 was really good.
Well, it has the rating. I mean, PG-13, it just
Yeah.
opens the door to more audiences. Conjuring, definitely an R. And
the first one was a word of mouth film too.
Yeah.
It sustained.
Do you think
for a
this
very long
one
time.
it will do better because people are like, okay, is it good? And how was the theater experience? Do you think there's hesitation still? And by having so many people go out and have a positive experience, that might translate into more people coming out the second weekend being like, I'm going to try it now.
I'm sure that there is going to be some people asking about, was it safe? But I don't know. In the screen where I was at, I never got the impression that many people were
Cared
or cautious about it. And maybe the majority of them got the vaccine, or maybe the majority of them have, been going out and have been risking it to begin with, whatever the case may be. But just the impression that I got, I think as long as the movie's good and you have a good time watching it in the theater, it's probably not going to matter whether there's precaution or not.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe there's some people on the fence. As we come out of lockdown, I've heard from several just acquaintances and people I talk to. It's not that they don't want to go out. They're just, you've been told not to go out and you've been shut in your home so long that it's just almost anxiety trying to get you.
Yeah.
You're kind of anxious to do it. And
Sure.
it's like you set baby feet. Like, I'm going to try to go in the store without a mask. And then you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Now it's like, maybe I should try a movie. And I feel like the more that confidence builds to get back into your normal routines, and having a good film like Quiet Place might just help for that confidence building and the behavior of going out.
That's a good way to describe it, because looking back, my anxiety moment of coming back to like the theater was Unhinged and Tenet, which was like eons ago now.
Yeah.
But
Almost a year ago.
Last year, July.
yeah. Yeah, that's crazy to think of. So I kind of get, like, I'm probably more comfortable with it now as compared to someone who didn't go see Tenet or Unhinged, but I guess there could be that. But I don't know, at the same time, I feel like now that the vaccine has just become so much more available that people are really ready to
move on
and get out of their homes, especially with summer like just around the corner too, or just starting now.
I think we've all gotten vaxxed and maxed out our belt buckles, and it's
Yeah.
time to get out and about.
Oh my gosh, Ken and I, the last movie I saw in the theater was Tenet. We went together and we were the only ones in the theater, and that was weird.
But it was great though,
It
right?
was so good.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I love that. That
It's
private
great
experience.
It's great to have the theater experience of camaraderie, but also it's great to have like a private screening.
Yeah.
So
That was
you want
awesome.
one or the
outside
other.
your house. It's like on that huge screen with
Yeah.
the sound and stuff. It's like they made it for me.
exactly. So one or the other, exactly.
So Ken, you saw Conjuring today. What did you think of that? Because it's Friday, it's opening tonight. We're worried it's going to hurt Quiet Place a little bit. What are your thoughts?
It was barely rated R, I would say.
Oh,
Well,
really?
from what I saw at the end of it, because I walked in on the end part of it and then got sucked into the movie, it didn't look like it should be rated R
There's
at
a
all.
little gore, but I think they overreached by making it an R. It was one of those, but it had Patrick Wilson and Vera Parmigiana, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Farmiga.
Yeah. But I mean, she kept her clothes on the whole time, so I mean, there was no reason for an R rating. It was fine. It was your standard scary movie. The little boy was a little too cute to be possessed, if that makes sense.
Aw.
Like, he was a very cute little boy.
Okay.
So
but that's
only
how they
the
get you.
uggos get possessed?
What? Yeah. No, I need a kid to have like a sloped forehead or something. Like, I need somebody to have like
Just
an
make it for
aggressive,
you-
an aggressive
Make it
lazy
easier
eye.
for you to
It was like-
digest it.
It was like a prime Jonathan Lipnicki getting possessed.
Oh.
Like, that ruins it for you. It's like all of a sudden Jerry Maguire turns into an exorcism movie. No, I mean, it was right up there with the standard Conjurings. I don't care for scary movies. I mean, they tried to build a story and make it like this is happened in real life, and then they play the audio from real life at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, they took a lot of liberties here with
Oh,
this.
so many.
Oh, for
30,
sure. Yeah,
30
yeah.
seconds of audio where people are like, yeah, he was definitely possessed.
Now take this and stretch it into 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, that was the other part of it. Not that we need 2-hour movies when it comes to big blockbuster releases. I mean, that's kind of the standard is 2 hours plus. But this could have been 90 minutes.
Oh, A Quiet Place. Both A Quiet Place movies are 90 minutes, and they're perfect.
Yeah, they jam it into 90 minutes. There's no...
Yeah, they nail it every time. So keep it at 90 minutes. Don't make it 2 hours.
So
no need.
I don't like scary movies at all. I'm not a horror person. I don't like any of that. I definitely don't like movies where if bad guys win at the end of the day or get off without consequences. I hate that. But I got sucked into the end of this movie. Like, it almost made me want to watch the whole thing because the ending was really good in my book. But I like kind of happy endings. I mean, and it has a pretty happy ending.
First time an 8-year-old gets possessed, you're going to be like,
oh, I'm glad I missed that part.
Why did I watch that part of it?
Yeah, I'm so glad I missed that part.
Yeah, if you watched the first part, then your review for that would not have been.
I mean, as far as the film, the genre goes, the special effects were great.
Yeah.
The story was good. I'm glad to see Patrick Wilson and Eggplant Parmesan, whatever her name is. And I mean, it was good. There were good actors. It's not my cup of tea, but for a horror audience, it fits great. I mean, we had Unholy out there that did some business with an Easter release.
Yes.
This being a summer release is going to do much better.
Much better.
Yeah, it's at least an R-rated movie that has backing behind it.
But it's a light R, it sounds like. It's not a really hard R. And I wish they had something a little bit above a PG-13, but not an R where you get the hard R's lumped in with it.
No nipples.
Yeah, like we need a no nipples.
No thrusting.
Maybe F word rating for that.
PG-13 can get away with one F word.
Like PG-18.
You can only moan off camera.
Yeah.
While we're at it, let's bring back G-rated movies.
I wish, what would be a good one would be MA, like the video game for mature audiences.
Is that NC-17?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We should have MA. I think that should be what we campaign on. We should do that. We should campaign the board to get an MA rating like in video games because at least audiences would recognize that as mature content. And then with it next to a PG-13, you know that it's like teenagers and above type of thing without having the stigma of an NC-17.
They just need to change the whole system. It's time for an update.
But mature versus then R would be like restricted. Like there's lots of boobies or lots of drugs or 10 billion F-bombs. Then you get that hard R.
Sure.
Arr. I like that. I like that a lot. SSI is going to start promoting that on the site.
Right, why not?
Instead of the XXX, it's RRR.
A rating of 3 R's.
So.
All right. So what do we have to talk about next?
Well, not a lot happened in the news cycle this week that I think we need to put our 2 cents in, except for MGM being bought by Amazon. I know a lot's been written on this and stuff, and we talked a little bit about it last week. But what changed was kind of interesting was that the Skyfall Inspector screenplay writer did a New York Times article, and he talked about how this could affect Bond moving forward as from a writer creative perspective. And I thought he had a lot of really good points. So if you have time, I definitely read that article from him in the New York Times. But because it's just, I think he nails it on the concept of a corporate entity buying a legacy media studio, and this corporate entity being something not in our industry, coming from the tech or whatever world, aviation, could be anything, coming in and churning that legacy media company into just a content slaughterhouse where they just go in and just get all the content they can for their whatever it is, their
streaming service,
or whatever needs they have.
In other words, water wet.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened since the beginning of films with product placement and advertising in films. And
yeah, but I think,
it's not
there's
that different.
a new flavor to it where they come in, and because they see the studio and the content more of an asset, they're just so quick to like water down that asset. It's not about being creative and creating art for them. It's about turning out content, and that kind of like mechanic component of that. I think there is a real fear. It really would ruin what it can be in media, in movie media, this like really experience culture, creative side that gets diminished because it's just like, hurry up, get this out to these audiences. We're checking off boxes, not creating anything spectacular here.
Yeah, what I got out of his article was that he's worried that the feeling that you get of Bond and how sacred of it is content, but how sacred of a franchise it is going to be taken away by an outside corporate company who doesn't know much about filmmaking, or is just on the cusp of learning about filmmaking, is going to take away that prestige aspect of this franchise, and it's just going to water it down to where it's just a bunch of spin-offs, TV shows, miniseries, movies, maybe movies that are day and date. We have no idea. And I don't think his article was very well written in how he's trying to come about explain it this way, but I think if you read between the lines, you'll get the understanding that we're getting to, is that we're just worried that with James Bond, that under Amazon's control, is that it could just be another piece of content, rather at least being shown as content with like a prestige element.
He was using James Bond as an example where he said, these entities come in and then they want to evaluate each part. So I think he gave the example in the article, like maybe audiences don't want to see James Bond drink anymore, so his classic martini scenes would be cut because it's like, oh, maybe he shouldn't be drinking and then driving a vehicle and shooting people.
Or like another example was, maybe audiences don't want him to be having the British accent anymore, maybe, or English or whatever it is. Like maybe they are feeling
it's not global
a disconnect
enough
from themselves.
James Bond's not a global enough character being rooted in having an English accent, so maybe we should make him American or a non-accent or something else, and then it's just changed the character completely. Now I think he was using James Bond as an example of what is happening to other franchises,
especially with all these streaming services from all these studios popping up, and from tech companies like Amazon and Apple.
And we've argued and felt that in the last, I don't know, decade or so, that the content's become really watered down. It's for mass global audiences, but it's not anywhere like healthy for American audiences. Like they've just really are just trying to get something out there that appeases everybody, and in a way it doesn't keep it a lasting impression for anybody.
Or they're trying to just get so much of it out there for brand recognition's sake,
right?
When there's still the brand recognition, but it's on that higher level. It's on that on that higher level where it has meaning behind it.
I think the first time I really saw this and have felt it was with the Star Wars. I think you really saw what Disney's take on Star Wars was, but Disney came at it from such a high corporate level, and they say they gave a lot of ability for the creatives to be creative, but that they really reined in a few things. And then we really saw that again with Warner's when they tried to step in and change certain things on Zack Snyder's Justice League and things like that. And so that intrusion of the corporate executive into the process is just playing out so differently in this day and age than it did back in the studio legacy days, where the head of the studio would greenlight stuff or make changes or make you cast a certain actress. I mean, the meddling is not new. It's just the outcome of the meddling feels different now.
Yeah, definitely. And, we just live in a world where thanks to technology and the ability to have so much stuff out there, it just becomes a numbers game for all of these studios. So they have to be looking over a creative's shoulders to make sure all these checkboxes are being put down, even more so than probably before. So that way these numbers, these subscriber numbers, these box office ticket numbers, make sure that they are all, exactly what they were targeting to begin with. So
yeah, it's just an interesting take, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people writing and talking about this concept as these legacy studios get bought up and traded and reduced to just assets in a corporate sheet.
I mean, I'm kind of seeing that now with Pixar. I mean, between Soul and Luca going to directly to streaming, not even day and date, like Pixar was always considered since, Toy Story as one of the crown jewel of animation. That's because they did so well in theaters. They made an impact for people who saw them in theaters.
I think that the people behind them worked so hard to create something that was just beautiful and stunning on the big screen, as well as having a good heartfelt story attached to it. Yeah. And it was that combination that really propelled Pixar above everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they're hurt because that's what they had, how they've been treated, how they were worked. You get treated respect. You put more into your work. You're incentivized more. And I don't know if that, if they keep doing that to Pixar moving forward, if you're going to see that same level of quality.
I mean, I hope so. And I'm sure Disney will make sure that that's happening, whether it's, maybe hopefully once again a Pixar movie goes to theaters, or whether they're making another Pixar TV show for streaming. I mean, I hope that they make sure they know what they're doing and they treat these people with care. But I'm just saying that comparison could, worst case scenario, could be what becomes of Bond. But with the broccoli, you go.
I was going to say, you hope that with the broccoli family still retaining ownership in it, that because there's that third party, this Amazon can't meddle as much.
And the Broccolis do, I mean, the Bond movies are very hit and miss a lot of the time. Yeah. But I think the Broccoli family understands that you have to space these out correctly and reboot them at the right time. So that way there's still that, there's still that effect that people have with Bond, to where they're like, I have to see the new Bond in theaters. Right. I have to go out and see who the next Bond is. I have to see if, what the new tech is or what the new story is.
Well, I think what you're seeing with Bond is that you have a family who has this is their asset. Yeah. One of many, I'm sure, that they have, but this is an asset to them. And because it's personal and there's an interest there, they're going to maintain and protect and do what they can. Mm-hmm. It's hard when the asset is owned by a board of a corporation. There's not that personal person that you can call and be like, all right, what can we do to make this better? Yeah. Like, what do you think of this idea? There's none of that real brainstorming. And I think where you see corporations work well is if they tend to have that person as an executive but has a real foresight. I think Marvel has benefited from having Kevin Feige on that to a certain extent. Yeah, putting the pieces together. I think Star Wars may not have benefited from having Kathleen Kennedy be that person. There's some argument there that maybe she wasn't the best person for that. So it's just hard. It's just hard having that. And back in the legacy days, you had a studio head, and that could have been that person making that decision. You could call them up. You don't really have that anymore. And even the studio heads answer to somebody in the structure. Right. So there's not one person that could be like, I'm going to take a risk. And I think it's that lack of risk taking. Mm-hmm. Why, when we say, certain movies couldn't get made today, it's because there's not that one person pulling the trigger, believing in it. And these are just the results of that corporate structure invading this media and the consolidation of it.
Speaking of movies that could not be made today but are being made today, yeah. Cody is very excited about this new casting announcement.
Oh, yes, I'm so excited. I keep wanting to put it on the podcast so we could talk about it, but Henry Cavill was cast in the new Highlander remake.
Superman himself.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good idea. He was great in The Witcher, and so I can only imagine him with long hair again and wielding a sword is going to be impressive.
Is he going to get typecast now that he's done being Superman?
Oh, this is his life now. Fine. But he might be okay with it.
Riding horses, wielding swords, long hair.
As long as it's...
you can age gracefully if you have gray hair starting when you're in your 30s.
But no, that was Geralt had. What is the character?
It makes sense, Ken.
It makes sense.
You don't think the Highlander is going to have gray hair too?
No.
What is it, like long blonde hair?
Yeah, I think it was long blonde hair. And maybe it's not his same...
Ken's like, I don't care.
Character. And But it could be another McLeod character. Well, I don't know. I'm very excited. I can't wait to see it.
I just don't know who wants this movie.
I do. Me. I'm sitting here. Please.
I'm sure there's a small group of you out there with the Highlander fan club on Facebook saying, yes, finally.
If Christopher Lambert is still alive, I'm sure he really wants this movie.
He is.
Just
but
to
if
get
they can
another
redo
check.
Mortal Kombat, they can redo this one, and I will be there for it.
Yeah, like we're gonna redo everything, of course, but
Oh my
Highlander
gosh.
is very strange property to
Yeah, it is.
redo.
Are they hitting the nostalgic of the mid 90s and that's like my bread and butter? Is that what's happening? Maybe. I'm excited for it though.
Well, wait, when did this? I'm trying to remember when this.
But he's
movie...
just waiting for the Three Ninjas remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Rocky,
go that
Colt,
far.
and Tum Tum.
Let's just do it. Might as well.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I have no thoughts of this. Fine, whatever. I don't know. I don't have a clue if they're gonna stick to, the 80s aesthetic of the Highlander movies, or if they'll make
Was
it more
Highlander
modern.
in the 80s? I thought it was in the 90s.
86, yeah.
86.
I mean, you probably watched it.
Oh,
in
the original
90s.
movie. I did watch the TV show.
Gotcha.
What was his name? Adrian something. With Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
Okay, moving on.
This kills Ken inside.
I like 80s action movies.
Me too.
80s, 90s action movies are my bread and butter. Highlander is not an action movie. I'm sorry. They don't even show the heads getting chopped off.
Lame. 0 out of 10.
That's the only way you can kill a Highlander, and then they don't show it.
Well, they're not going to show. Yeah.
You have to show it.
I mean, it is R-rated. I think they could have gotten away with it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta get right in there.
And
I need to see.
80s R-rated is the RRR that Cody described like a few minutes ago. So they really could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
So 80s R-rated should be MA for today. So
Yes.
I'm thinking there's room. There's room for this remake to make it awesome, blood and gory like they did with Mortal Kombat with the blood like clouds and pew, 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 I think it'd be awesome.
It could.
I'm very excited.
And though it is typecasting for Cavill, who else would have done? Maybe Dwayne Johnson, but Cavill's a good choice.
Dwayne Johnson would be so annoying. I know he's big. It's not about being buff. It's just about having that gravelly voice that you would think and that timeliness about you that you feel like he could have lived through centuries. Dwayne Johnson is such a product of today. Like I
You know who I'm
could
thinking
not
of
even
for
believe
this?
he lived even 100 years ago.
I think Stanley Tucci would be a great Highlander.
Oh, he can do no wrong. Count me in.
Maybe
Jesse
it's
Plemons?
like the
Huh?
old mentor, like Sean Connery was,
Sure. Why
where
not?
he comes in and then
Do
he
you forget that he
sacrifices
was
himself.
Yeah. Do you forget that he died almost immediately in that movie?
Not almost immediately. He was there.
Literally lived for thousands of years
gave him
and then died
the
in
rare
real time.
Japanese sword. It was amazing. And he
gosh.
sacrificed himself so that he could get away.
All right.
It was
Moving
his
on.
time to go. He was like thousands of years old.
Let's talk about trailers. I'm over this
Okay.
now.
All right. What's first on our list for trailers?
We have to play catch up because we forgot to talk about trailers last week. So do you want to start with Marvel's The Eternals?
Yeah, we'll start with that one. So they did a short trailer for Internals. You get to see a few of the characters, not all of them.
There's
And
like 10 of them.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I was surprised there's more Eternals. And then I was a little disappointed I didn't get to see how ripped Kumail Nanjiani has become in it. They just give him like one line in it.
Oh,
and
look
that's
at
it.
look at his photo then.
I know.
That's whew, wow.
Yeah, it's
Good
like
for
scary.
you, man.
Take it easy, you two.
Well, it's impressive.
And Angelina Jolie looks great in it. She
Mm-hmm.
is very striking. So
She doesn't look like a butch firefighter in this one.
no.
The reaction to this trailer was weird. There was people who were like, "Yeah, sign me up. I'm in. Looks
Really?
great."
I thought it
and
was
then the other side was kind of like you, where you're like, "I didn't like Nomadland, so maybe I won't like this one too," because it's the
Right.
same director. So
You just can't get into Marvel right now until we
can't,
build
yeah.
something again. Of course, if you put Robert Downey Jr. in it, we will go see it.
Right. I guess that's what it was for me. It just seemed lackluster. It was the way they cut the trailer too.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing there to emotionally excite you. It was a lot more mystery, like, ooh, there's a character. Ooh, there's a character. What? They all look pensive. I don't care about pensive. I don't care if they're worried about anything. I need some action, and that trailer didn't excite anything.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be another trailer where it shows more action.
Probably.
I'm sure Marvel's listening. I just kind of like that it was a change of pace because I've seen all of the Marvel movies have, the action.
If it's a change of pace to
Can I see
whatever this trailer was, then I'm going to be bored out of my mind.
Can I see Doctor Strange without the comedy or the action, please?
Here you go. Marvel's the Eternals.
I just want the pre-origin movie.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it was very conflicted from a lot of people, but I don't know.
That comes
I'm sure
out
there'll be
in
another
November at Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, there'll be another trailer and they'll show more
Got
action.
time.
Don't worry.
It's Disney, so there'll be 9 trailers, so you can piece together the movie.
Yeah.
They just
Sort
keep
of.
coming and coming and coming, and then
I'm sure they will.
featurettes and
Yeah, sneak peeks, even though it's the footage from the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm on to you guys.
What was
and
our next one?
The next one was Last Night in Soho, which is a horror movie or a horror time bending type of movie
Yeah, it took
with
a weird
Edgar
turn.
Wright.
It took a weird turn in the trailer.
I loved it.
At first you think it's just like a neat time travel, so there's this lonely looking girl and she's a small town and to the big city and she's all alone and she's not quite fitting in, and then somehow she finds that can time travel back into the glorious 30s of, I think,
Lauren's 30s, I think. Yeah.
Is it like New York or?
Yeah, I would think it's New York.
I got that impression.
wasn't the 30s the Dust Bowl in the Great Depression?
Or the 20s.
Roaring 20s. Okay.
Yeah, but
we'll
it's
go
a
with that.
glamorous time, and
Just
she
double
gets
checking
caught
here
up.
real
Sorry,
quick.
forgot about
I didn't
the.
want there to be like a potato famine I
Right.
missed in the trailer.
No, she gets caught up in the glamour of it all, but she's not herself. She looks like, when she looks in a mirror, she's obviously this other woman, beautifully dressed, high end. And she gets caught up in living this other woman's life, basically. But then it takes a really dark turn in the trailer. You don't know if this other woman is caught up with nefarious characters. You don't know if she gets killed, and that this poor girl's reliving all these horrible things. And then it turns into this weird ghost thing where they're coming for her in real life. And so, yeah, it took
I love it.
Edgar
took a
Wright
turn.
makes movie for theaters. Sign me up.
Oh yeah, he champions the movie theater going
At
experience.
least it was an original concept.
Yeah,
and I
original
found it
concept.
was super interesting.
Clever director. Trailer was edited so well.
It was
Yeah,
edited really well.
This is now my most anticipated movie.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow, we really shot up there.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it was Dune. That was probably the one I was hyped for the
Yeah.
most. But after seeing this trailer, it got my anticipation way up there. So
Well, I was thrown a little when the ghost started getting her at the end.
yeah, sure.
That maybe took it a step too
Too
far
far.
for me.
Who you gonna
Yeah.
call?
Then
Copyright claims. We can't. we
Yeah.
can't play that music.
and then we had Escape Room 2.
Did anyone see the
Right.
first one?
I didn't see
I
the
saw
first
the first one. It was fine.
think
It was a serviceable. I mean, it was a good idea. Now,
It was a really
yeah.
good idea.
Is a good.
And that caught people.
And I
And,
don't-
it did better, I think, because it was this is an original kind of horror idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is a more expensive version of the first one.
Yeah.
And
On a bigger, grander scale, but essentially the same movie as the first one.
So it's the winners of other escape rooms, including the main characters from the first movie, and
Yeah.
then they all have to do another escape room.
Yeah, it's like Grand Champion style.
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
also never ending, but it has more technology involved in this one.
I thought that I was more intrigued by the traps, because in the trailer the traps look very elaborate, very
Creative.
expensive, creative.
Expensive.
Yeah. But I don't care for
no the
horror, so I just really don't.
We've talked
Gotcha.
about this
for me.
before, but this is in the same vein as
Yeah.
Saw, where the writing is the strongest part of the film. The idea and the writing
concept.
and
The concept is-
traps
Yeah.
and those
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things.
yeah,
yeah.
That is the strongest part of the film. I mean, there's
And then the writing's the weakest part.
Yeah, the actual dialogue
the
is.
actual dialogue, and
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
So the story writing, not the
Yes.
screenwriting.
yes.
is
Right.
the best part.
I'm on board with that.
In keeping with the horror vein, we also watched M. Night Shyamalan's Old, and that one, I told
It's
Uni-
Shyamalan.
Yeah, I told Universal it's a horror film, but it feels really upscale. it doesn't. I don't know if there's going to be some twist on it at the end.
There'll be a twist
because
on
you
it.
kind
You
of
don't
get a
know
lot.
if there will be a twist.
Well, he said he doesn't want to do a twist on everything. That's what he's known for. But I feel like he's going back to his horror twisty roots.
He's
with this.
But that's the twist.
That's the twist.
That's the twist. He got you.
So they go. It's a young family. They go to the beach. Something happens, and the kids start aging, and then other people start rapidly aging to become like deteriorated into skeletons. So
Sign me up.
The one line I thought that was really funny was that the handsome middle-aged man, his wife points at him and goes, "Honey, you have a wrinkle." And I'm like, he kind of already did to begin with. Am I missing something? Like, I know he's good looking, but he wasn't flawless by any means.
Right.
So, but no, it's Shyamalan. Like, the concept's good. Hopefully the execution is good, but it could be one of the few horror movies that plays well.
I have a feeling it's going to look like The Irishman without the expensive cameras, where everybody is just the same age, they just act different.
Yeah, maybe that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah.
no, that one I just thought, looks okay. There wasn't anything so intriguing. I don't know if his concept feels as interesting or original or new as it did 20 years ago when horror wasn't as developed as it is today.
It's the same thing, but the subtlety is the scary part of what
he is such
in.
a good director that the quality is there. It felt upscale to me in the quality.
Yeah, I agree with that last point.
I do like the endlessness of like the idea of the beach and the ocean and how it looks, and it's just going to be like a Truman Show ending.
It could. I mean, you never know.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw like the rowboat.
You're like, I've seen this movie. I know what's
where's
coming.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, where's the secret door in the horizon?
Where's Ed Harris directing from up above?
So on a brighter note, Jungle Cruise came out with a new trailer.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So you know how I hinted before that like Dwayne Johnson couldn't be Highlander?
It wasn't much of a hint
because he just doesn't look like he belongs in any other time, but now he is so
but the
big.
2000s and on.
Yeah. And so I thought Jungle Cruise looked like a great family film. Emily Blunt is amazing. I definitely liked her way more in it, and I felt like they kind of had chemistry.
They looked good.
They played off each other for, and then it looked kind of like pirates. Like they had these jungle people in it, but they looked like zombie pirates to me.
Very Pirates-esque between like the gun-ho adventure.
Yeah.
Type with like a mystery involved,
but
like treasure
the guy
hunting
with
and
tentacles that look like, what was it, Davy Jones?
Yeah.
I just got that impression, and I was like, oh, they just recycled that character.
I mean, they're recycling the concept of what if we make this theme park ride a movie. So it's not too surprising that they're also like, go back to the past scripts, let's change out these names. And
it was either make a movie about it or tear the ride out and start over,
or tear the ride out and make a Ant-Man ride.
Both were going to cost $200 million.
So at least a movie could get people onto the streaming service.
It does look like a really fun family film though for is it end of July?
July 23rd.
Yeah,
I'll double check that.
John Wayne, Clint Eastwood of our time. Just put him in a movie.
It'll work.
Maybe not a period movie where the clothes look like they had to take 10 tailors to get him over his biceps.
July 30th, not 23rd.
Okay, yeah.
And on to this week's trailers. Boss Baby 2. A lot of anime movies.
So I really like the first Boss Baby. It was actually surprising. I remember booking the original Boss Baby and thinking nobody's going to like this. Like being worried that a baby with a man's voice was going to be off-putting because it was at first. But then it ended up being so funny, so cute and full of heart that it is something we watch with our kids still. Like it's a good...
Alec Baldwin is, regardless of what you think of him as a person, he is charming, and he has that voice, that Hollywood voice.
That charmingness comes through his voice, even if it's an animated baby. So I was actually really excited for this when it was in September, and then they moved it up to July, and then they made it day and date with Peacock, and now the luster's kind of faded a little bit. And then when we watched the trailer, I think the concept's really funny there that they're going back. But the one thing that's really off-putting to me is that the older brother doesn't have his same voice from the first film. So he has like still an adult man voice, and I really didn't like that. That's just a personal thing. It just really bugged me.
Oh, so you mean the main characters from the first movie, the brothers are adults now, but then they're turning back into babies, at least in the trailer,
to help baby kind, to help stop a madman.
Yeah, but
from making bad babies.
They still have their adult voices while being babies,
and that's fine.
Gotcha.
That's fine for the boss baby character, because he always had an adult man voice.
Yeah.
But his older brother had a younger kid's voice, and in the trailer it doesn't appear that he has that again, and it's like,
he still has James Marsden's voice.
Yeah, and I'm like, why? Well, you couldn't just pay the original guy to come back. Like, really, that guy was so expensive that you couldn't bring him back in.
I like Marsden as much as the next person, but I'm sure it would have been cheaper to bring back the kid that played him in the first place.
Unless it's been so long that his voice changed.
I mean, maybe that's not actually. That's a good point.
And then they just make it an adult. Maybe that did happen. I don't know. It's just so, ugh. I didn't like that.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Ken?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Moving on. Okay. Paw Patrol. Ken, do you have any thoughts on Paw Patrol?
Nope, we talked about it enough. Moving on.
No, I thought it looked really cute, actually.
Don't pump up the trailer.
I'm going to pump it up a little bit, because
oh my gosh.
I think I'm still going to play it, even though it's day and date, because it does look really good. We're going to need a kids movie about that time, and this just looked like the little TV show on a grand scale, and the puppies are so cute. I don't know how you can get around that.
Okay, I got no thoughts either.
Yeah. Okay, next one.
Reminiscence from Warner Bros. Starring Hugh Jackman.
This one I thought looked so good.
It did, didn't it?
I loved Hugh Jackman in it. It gave me like a time bending feel. Like, I feel like it was a
post or
I feel like it was a
future.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan feel to the film, but also like a noir
mystery added to it. It is directed by Christopher Nolan's brother, I believe. With Christopher Nolan and his wife like producing it. So
that's why I get those vibes then.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, so it reminded me of everything that Christopher Nolan made, and also kind of remind me of Blade Runner 2049 in some moments, but the premise of it still seemed cool to me, and I'm on board with seeing Hugh Jackman in anything that's not Wolverine. Like, I'm glad he's finally moving on. I mean, I've loved him, but it was time to move on. So yeah, I just would love to see this in the theater.
I was kind of excited for the like detective, agent for trying to go out and help the femme fatale and get into the mystery of it all, and then adding the elements of the technology and a submerged Miami, and I mean all the things that go in. There's so many layers to it. It was awesome.
I missed the trailer for this one. So it's got huge Jackman in it.
Less huge, but yeah.
Less huge.
You can tell, yeah.
So huge.
Normal Jackman.
Oh, man. Okay. And he doesn't have like a giant robot he builds to fight things?
No. But I still want Real Steel 2.
And he doesn't have metal claws that come out of his body?
No.
And
he doesn't sing, I don't think.
No singing.
No singing or dancing numbers in this one? Pass.
It's a new frontier for him. And
it's time to move on.
Pass.
I found it super interesting. I really want to see it.
It is day and date, so I think that's the underlying thing that Ken's trying to get at.
Also, on the movie, if he doesn't have claws, pass.
Give me back Wolverine.
Well, keep that one on your back pocket, because I thought it looked spectacular.
It could be a good alternate title to play in August. So
I don't think Hugh Jackman picks bad projects. I think he's at a point in his career where he doesn't have to take a flub to make some money. No. I'm feeling good about this.
Pass.
Okay.
So we're about in the middle. So what's the final one?
Oh, we have two more. We have Roadrunner,
okay,
which is a documentary about Anthony Bourdain, and that I'm not super into documentaries, especially in summer, because we have enough content. It's hard to fit those things in.
Yeah.
But this looked really good. I mean, it's just sad. You know that it doesn't end well in it, but I found him being an intriguing person, and I think a documentary that looks at his life is going to be interesting.
In certain markets, this is going to do massive numbers.
You think so?
Yes.
Like where?
Well, this is an art market. So if you have
Right.
art house theaters, places where this can sit and brew on a small screen, like this is really going to do a monster number.
I mean, could
Do you think like more urban markets?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Urban markets on the coast, especially California, Oregon, Washington. I mean, this is going to put up massive numbers. He had
probably
such a
like
huge,
the foodie markets.
yeah, he
Yeah.
had
Oh,
such
the
a huge,
foodies, yeah.
huge audience. I mean, in the restaurant industry, but also outside of it, just
Yeah.
because he was such an engaging character.
I was engaged. I never really watched his show or knew much about him. So,
No, his show was good. It was just he was that embodiment of the person who was really adventuring. I mean,
Right.
one time, he's out on a boat without a paddle. Next time, he's in a restaurant eating eyeballs.
Yeah.
And then he's drinking way too much tequila in Mexico, and
So
it
he
became like the ultimate adventurer for modern times.
Yeah, he kind of, I guess in a way, kind of pioneered those other type of personalities or the types of
Influencer.
shows that you see. Yeah, kind of.
those
He
travel influencers that are
Yeah.
like, go ahead and have this experience and we'll document it. But he actually did that in a more authentic way.
He made a real version of the travel log. Like he
Yeah.
kind of perfected it for the way people actually travel now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's no
Right.
Rick Steves' guide to Antarctica. Like he would actually go to Antarctica and then
Right.
eat seal.
You
Like that was
Yeah.
joke, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
planned part of my trip in Europe when I was in my 20s off of Rick Stevens books, and they worked. So,
Well, that explains that reference.
Yeah. I still have them.
All right. What was the last one?
Okay, last one. Werewolves Within. This is from IFC. This comes out the same week as F9. I think it's going to get overlooked, but the trailer had this really funky, like, humor running through it against another scary horror film. But it had, I mean, the whole trailer had comedic moments in it. And my only hope is that it doesn't show all the best comedic moments are in the trailer. But I feel like because it didn't just splash them in there, that it was an undercurrent of humor, and it was more of a, like, it was more in the dialogue and the style of the dialogue, that I think this one could be like a really pleasant little surprise that could be overlooked. So I'm really keeping it on my radar, and I'm going to see if I can find places for it on the 25th.
The comparison I see is Bleecker Street's Save Yourself from last year. Granted, obviously
Yeah.
that didn't perform well, but
No.
if in the right market and, when theaters are open,
Right.
it could be that pleasant surprise. Like if the humor lands and if it's well done, it's not going to be like a box office smash, but it could be,
Right.
that good alternate title that someone could just come to the theater and be like, I guess I'll see if it's
F9
funny.
sold out. What's this one?
Yeah.
And be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, could be a curiosity factor too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, horror comedies don't really happen. I guess more so maybe on streaming than theatricals. So
Yeah.
if this is, I believe this might be theatrical only. So
No.
that
It's
could
got a
help.
short window.
It's got a short window.
It's a short window.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
short
all right,
window.
but
Less than 7 days.
Yeah, it's got a really
Oh,
short window,
yeah.
but I think that's okay.
It's
I think
just-
it'll be better than Save Yourselves, because that just ended up not being that funny throughout. The best parts were the ones in the trailer.
okay.
And it wasn't rated R for any particular reason.
Yeah, no, it
Gotcha.
didn't need to be an R. It should have been a PG-13. The poofs were fun, were kind of cute and
I
stuff,
saw
but
this movie.
but the ending kind of ruined it too. It was just a lame ending. So
Okay.
I hope I have higher hopes for this one.
Yeah, I'm just saying
Absolutely.
the comparison could be there.
It's
it
that
could
funky
work.
kind of funny horror.
Yeah,
Offbeat. All the male actors had bad haircuts.
yeah.
It kind of gave me a Fargo feel with the gal in the was she a postal worker or
The cop.
she was a cop?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she gave me that Fargo feel, being like all zipped up in that cop like jacket and hat with the fur.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think I liked that. I think that worked for me.
Cody liked it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it worked for her.
That's a better comp than my Save Yourselves one. I'd love this to be the next Fargo. Sign me up.
Right. Maybe we'll-
Academy Award winning movie.
There we go. Academy Award winning. Werewolves Within.
From a movie that didn't make 100,000 its opening weekend to like one of the biggest cult classics
I
of all
just
time.
got the vibe
Perfect.
from her.
Love it.
I
in
think
the
it was
shot.
like similar
God.
to Avengers Endgame.
Oh my! You're terrible.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Are we done?
I think we're done with all the trailers, all the topics. How about we wrap things up?
Yeah.
Send us out of here,
Please
Kyle.
wrap it up, Kyle.
All
so
right.
that Ken can stop talking.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the newest episode of Off the Break Podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and over at silverscreeninsider.com, where if you're a theater owner or manager needing updated and accurate information for upcoming releases and marketing assets for them, check us out on that website. There will be a lot available there.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, guys.
Get in the summer
No,
spirit.
you weren't supposed to talk.
Get in the summer spirit. We're conjuring up some big grosses this week. Bye, everybody.